Howdy, my name is Emily, and I'm going to be talking to you today. Excuse the crazy hair and terrible lighting. It is quite late at night, and I'm exhausted, and quite frankly, don't care enough about this subject to make more of an effort than this. I want to address the topic of extreme games and their series of recent videos spanning the last month or so about their health issues and their claims that they are dying. Now, they have some even more ludicrous claims than just that they're dying, including that they have found a chiropractor who somehow has the cure for cancer. So just jumping right into it, I want to give you guys some context as to who I am. I'm Emily. I am 23, and I have lived my entire life with health issues. I have a connective tissue disorder that is genetic. It's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And I have a lot of resulting issues because of that. I'm not going to get into it. It's not what this video is about. So that's me. The first video of theirs that I'm going to be addressing is from August 25th of this year, and it's titled, "We're Quitting YouTube Because We're Dying, Not Clickbait." And I say "we're" and not "we are" or "we're" because they spelled it incorrectly. They also spelled quitting incorrectly. 2 minutes into the video, they state, "We didn't really want to tell all you guys because it's a pretty big thing, and we don't want to make you guys feel bad or anything." Yes, you do. This is all for attention. And that is backed up by the fact that you have this sad music for sad boys going on in the background. The clickbaity title, and you know it's clickbait when dying is involved and also not clickbait. Vertigo and a sore stomach and acne are not lethal. I'm just gonna put that out there. Right. And then you immediately go into the giveaway, in which you don't even bother to present like visually the items that you're giving away, which doesn't make sense to me. If you have them to give away, why wouldn't you just show them? You know, just like a quick glance, like be like, "Hey, so I got these for y'all." You know, I feel like that would be more attention grabbing, but no, you have "We're Dying" in the title, so that's, I guess, attention grabbing enough. Anyway, so you said that you have been off of your medication for 6 months now, and that suddenly your edema has gotten worse. So let me get this straight. Just to clarify, you specifically said that you're no longer taking the medication that was keeping your edema in check because you saw some YouTube videos from a chiropractor, and since you've stopped taking the medication that was helping with your problem has now gotten worse and you're confused. That's what I'm gathering here. You also say that Dr. Bergman is your last hope. I don't know what kind of side effects you were having with the medications that you were taking to keep your edema under control, because you said that it was working for your edema. It was helping to reduce the edema significantly. You admitted that openly in the video. However, you don't really go into specific detail about how exactly the medication was making things worse. You just say that it's making things worse. I'm not saying that you need to give everybody details of every little aspect of your life and your medical history. Of course, you don't have to do that. However, if you're going to be making these gigantic claims, people are going to want specifics, and they're going to want answers, and they're going to want to analyze everything that you're saying exactly like I'm doing now. And the reason for this is because you're making preposterous claims. And obviously, people want evidence of this. And just saying, oh, the pills made me worse even though they helped. That seems a bit like contradictory, you know? 9 minutes and 30 seconds in, you said, if we don't get better, this will be our last video that we ever make. But if we do, you guys can probably expect a lot of videos from us. So at the beginning of the video, you said, we're dying. And then 9 minutes in, you're like, oh, by the way, if we get better, you'll see a lot more of us. That's... you were quite sure of yourself that you were dying in the beginning. So clearly there's a little bit of discrepancy here. The second video I would like to address is from September 16th, and it's titled, "He Sings for His Dying Brother, Don't Cry, Sad Face Emoji." So you immediately start the video by saying, Johnny is gonna die in 4 weeks. And this is a 52-minute video, all right? 52-minute long video. And it starts by saying, Johnny is gonna die in 4 weeks. That's what you say. By the way, 1 minute and 20 seconds in, nice snot stream you got going on there. 6 minutes in, you start talking about follow our doctor on YouTube, and you basically just talk for an entire minute about how everybody should subscribe to his videos and just follow his channel, and that, oh, it's gonna double our chances of getting an iPhone X. Oh my God. So you then show footage, very, very long footage of the appointment that you have with this chiropractor, Dr. Bergman. Chiropractors in general are very hands-on. It's specifically spinal manipulation, but they do other stuff as well. But primarily the theory is that proper alignment of the body's musculoskeletal system will allow the body to then heal itself, and it can restore movement to joints that were restricted by tissue injuries, etc. However, it's not at all safe for everybody. It can only be applied to specific situations or injuries, etc. It's definitely not safe for anybody with osteoporosis or bone issues or bone fragility, or people with spinal cord compression or injuries, or anybody with inflammatory arthritis. So a sizable number of people should not see chiropractors. So right off the bat, claims that you should go to this chiropractor because he can cure everything, including cancer, that alone is just completely insane and completely false. So not a good thing to be spewing, especially to a community that isn't necessarily medically inclined. In an older video as well, you guys detail an ER visit that Johnny had to go through because of his edema, where the doctor had, he was going to a doctor's appointment, I think, and he had some blood work come back, and the doctor took a look at it, and his numbers were pretty scary, and the doctor was concerned that he was about to have a stroke or an extremely high risk of having a stroke, so he was sent to the ER. That, I would say, is a credible experience, because he did go into detail about the different blood work that they did, different tests that they did, and, you know, if it was an ER visit, then it was documented, so obviously there has to be some proof to that claim. In summary, I'd just like to say that it definitely seems like Johnny in particular is very sick. There's no doubt in my mind that they are telling the truth about that. There is obvious evidence that he is sick. He truly does have edema, especially with the skin, and it definitely can be life-threatening. And I think at a point, either 2 years ago or I think 2 years ago is when the video was made about the ER visit story, but I don't know if that's when it actually happened. It could have been before that, but I think in this particular case with Johnny from XtremeGamez, it was life-threatening at some point, but as of right now, he is not in a life-threatening situation. And so for him to be exaggerating, for both of them to be exaggerating and saying that they are dying is completely false. It's exaggeration. It's emotional manipulation of their audience. Johnny specifically openly admitted to refusing to taking the medication that was helping his edema without giving a clear explanation as to why he stopped taking them, other than it made him feel worse, even though he admitted that it helped his edema. So I really don't understand what's going on with that. And then miraculously, after refusing to take your medication, it somehow got worse. So I'm not really sure why you think that's such a confusing thing. If you don't take your medication for something that isn't going to go away on its own, obviously it's going to come back and get worse. I don't understand why you wouldn't realize that. And now you're seeking relief from a chiropractor instead of a real doctor. And, you know, if it works, that's great, good for you. It's your prerogative of what you do with your life and what you do with your health. However, to make these wild claims that he's going to cure everybody who goes to see him, that is completely false. It is incredibly dangerous for somebody, for example, with my condition to go and see him, because my entire problem primarily is musculoskeletal. I have a very fragile musculoskeletal system. If I went to see him, I would not only risk dislocations, bone breakages, but I would also risk ligaments torn, fractures, sprains, you know, just an endless number of problems and permanent damage. I could risk permanent damage if I went to see a chiropractor. And you're focusing on the dying aspect of your videos and your health issues rather than anything else. You could be doing something like raising awareness for these conditions that you have, or just documenting them in a factual way. Even if it's about your emotions or your symptoms, you could be documenting it rather than, frankly, just emotionally manipulating your audience, which is exactly what you're doing. And that's what I have a problem with, and that's what everybody has a problem with. The reason why everybody is getting on your case about this is because the way that you're presenting yourselves is fraudulent. And nobody is going to believe anything that you say from this point on, because you have not only lied at the beginning of the majority of your videos recently, but you have presented false information and you have largely exaggerated your symptoms and your medical conditions. And coming from someone who has chronic problems and genetic illnesses, I know exactly why you would want attention and why you would want to reach out to people. And when you're chronically ill versus terminal, you have to live in this kind of limbo where you're not healthy enough to be productive and participate in society, but you're not sick enough that you're terminal, and people clamor around you with love and attention and support because, you know, oh, you're dying. But the fact of the matter is, you guys, XtremeGamez, Johnny and Tommy, I think are your names, you guys are not terminal. You guys are not dying. You might have some situations where your condition becomes life-threatening, and that is very valid. That is very real for edema specifically. Not at all vertigo. Vertigo is not at all life-threatening. But for you to be claiming that you're dying from these issues when in reality you're just suffering from them, you know, I'm not trying to negate the suffering that you've had to endure and all of the symptoms and all of the issues and, you know, all of the resulting problems that you deal with, like the lifestyle changes and that kind of thing. I know exactly what that feels like. I've had to deal with it my entire life. However, there's a huge difference between suffering and dying. And for you to exploit your suffering and just do it all for attention, that's genuinely what this is about. If you approached your videos in a way that was factual and honest and truthful, then people would pay more attention because they would sympathize more. They would want to, you know, raise awareness for you and support you because they would care about what you have to say and they would care about what you're going through because you're being honest. And that's what people appreciate, is honesty and truthfulness. But what you're doing now is being false. You're being completely manipulative in the way that you approach these videos. And especially in the way that you approached the one titled, he sings for his dying brother, don't cry. Like, that immediately, right off the bat, that title alone is so manipulative. People are obviously going to click that and be like, I gotta get ready to cry. And then you have this montage of just random video footage of the two of you together from old videos that you've already made. It's sweet. It's a nice gesture. And then like crying and the snot. I truly believe that you guys have had a difficult time with your health issues, especially with the edema, but the way that you're approaching it, the way that you're using it is manipulative to your audience. It's cringy. I mean, it's uncomfortable because it's so obviously exaggerated and just ridiculous. I mean, especially with the amount of promotional content that you include about this Dr. Bergman or however you pronounce it. And with the amount of promos for this giveaway that nobody has seen evidence of, other than you saying that there is one, you can't expect people to believe everything you say just because you put it on a video with you crying in it. In one video, I don't remember which one, I think it was the first one, titled, "We're quitting YouTube because we're dying." At one point, Tommy, I think his name is, the skinny one with not great skin, I think at one point he gets so emotional that he has to walk off camera. And I mean, that's just another prime example of emotional manipulation, because you're using a trigger that is a recognizable expression of sadness and depression and upset, and you're taking that and you're using it, and you're like, you edited those videos, you filmed those videos, and you edited those videos. You had to have specifically made the choice to include that content in your video. And that's the whole point, is that this isn't just something that you up and recorded and decided to throw up on the internet. No, this is something that you thought about. These are different clips that are joined together. They're cut and pasted and edited to present the message that you want to present. And you can't expect people to just take everything that you say word for word as the truth. That's not how it works, especially when what you're saying is completely ridiculous. And the fact that you're saying that this chiropractor can cure cancer and that he can fix the problems of everybody and anybody, that's a dangerous statement to make. You've made a lot of dangerous statements in your videos, but that is the most dangerous. That is a very, very dangerous statement to make. Because if people believed you, if people are dumb enough to believe you, then you're putting false hope into those people. And that is an incredibly dangerous and damaging thing to do. Because if they go to this doctor, and if he can't help them, they're going to have a crashing realization. And they're going to have their entire worlds fall apart because their hopes are going to be dashed. And those hopes were built up by you on false information. That is your fault. That is your responsibility, and you need to own up for that. You need to take accountability for yourself, and you need to own up to that. chiropractor, doctor or not, he cannot cure everything. He might be able to help you, and if he can, that's completely wonderful. Truly, that is wonderful. But that does not mean that he can help everybody and that he can help everybody you say he can help. Hello. I mean, just because he helped you, again, it doesn't mean that he can help everybody. And by saying that he can help everybody, you are lying to the people that are watching your videos. That is dangerous. That is irresponsible. And you need to be held accountable, and you need to hold yourself accountable. I understand that, living with health issues can be incredibly isolating and difficult. I understand that better than you will ever know. But what you need to realize is that when you have this amount of health issues and when you are so deep into the medical community because of these health issues that you have, it is your responsibility to be truthful about the severity of your problems, because especially when it comes to medical terminology, not everybody is going to know what you're talking about. And so it's very easy for people who know about it to exaggerate the truth, because whether it gets your point across better or whether it gets the attention you want, it doesn't matter what your motivations are behind it, but it is your responsibility to be honest and truthful with the information that you have on your diagnosis, on your health issues. It is your responsibility to be truthful and to be honest. And you are not doing that. You are using your knowledge on your health issues, and you are using the lack of knowledge of your audience, and you are playing them. You are abusing your audience. You are emotionally manipulating them because you know that you can. And that's why people are calling you out. It's not because they are haters or because they're hating on you. They're calling you out on your bullshit because you're being a terrible person. Both of you. You're being horrible. I'm so sorry that you have to deal with these issues. I'm so sorry that you have to have health issues that are limiting your life and your quality of life. I understand what that feels like. I truly do. But that is not an excuse, and it is not going to help you get away with this. There are millions of people out there who are chronically ill and dealing with the same issues that you are, and dealing with multitude more. But that doesn't give them the right or the excuse to manipulate people and use people the way that you are. And you're not the first people to do this either, and you won't be the last. But people like me and people like Leon Lush and the rest of the YouTube community will continue to call people like you out. Because you are not part of the community that we want to associate with. You are manipulative. You are liars. You are exaggerators. And you are spreading false information that is dangerous and toxic. And that's why you are being called out. You need to own up and take responsibility for yourself. You need to have some self-awareness. And you need to stop abusing your viewers, assuming that they're stupid. And I know that you're doing this because otherwise you wouldn't be saying such bullshit lies. Like, oh, this chiropractor can cure cancer. You actually said that. You genuinely said that he could cure cancer. A chiropractor. He doesn't even use medication. Are you kidding me? That is insanely dangerous. What if somebody who actually has cancer believed you and decided to go to him? What if they stopped taking their medication, their life-saving medication, because of something that you said? And then they died. How would you feel about that? That would be your fault. Because of something that you said in your videos. That is the risk that you are taking by saying these things. You need to be aware of this stuff. I don't know. I mean, you guys are young kids. I'm young as well. I'm 23. I'm only a few years older than you. But I at least recognize that my words have ramifications on the people who listen to them. And you need to be aware of that too. What you're saying is not okay. It's not healthy. It's not safe. You're putting lives at risk by spreading this false information. You need to cut it out.